It's funny because I don't know why no one talks about this, but today we're going to be showing you how I grew $1 million in 24 months from this property, and we're on the way there. And the key components we'll be discussing today is, number one, what type of property was it that I was able to grow $1 million within this property? Number two, the key components that were required to grow that property through increasing the rents. And number three, probably the most important once you understand the first two, is exactly how to use that $1 million to continue to grow your real estate portfolio, and more importantly, run it like a business. I don't know why no one talks about this. And the biggest thing is there's a lot of smart people out there. A lot of real estate investors or owners don't even know how to do this part of property to continuously scale their businesses. And right now we're sitting at 45 properties, which I've purchased myself at 30, and it's just the start of the journey. So I'm excited for you guys to come along. This property that I'm going to show you guys today will show you exactly what to do from start to finish, what properties to look for, and more importantly, the potential of any property in your surrounding area as well. So let's go and show you the insides and outs and run you through those 3 steps so you can start to use your own equity and $1 million or value creation that you create in your own properties as well. All right guys, so welcome. This property was my first commercial asset, and this is the property that did $1 million in 24 months, and I'll show you exactly how. The difference between a residential and commercial is the way it's simply valued, and the amount of income that you can absolutely obtain is a lot greater. And the way that's different is because tenancy profiles can be split with commercial assets, they can be increased, and they can be also improved. And the key things that we were able to do in this property is improve the amenities for each tenant. We were also able to tell each tenant how we can improve their business so their income also increased, and more importantly, the WALE, we'll put the abbreviation right here, also increased with all these leases, therefore increasing the valuation. With a normal residential property, like everyone does, the valuations are purely dependent on surrounding sales. So if the market's down, so is your property. However, with a commercial asset, if the income is improved, all that's worked out is the capitalization rate of the usual asset class, and in this case it was 5%. The income is calculated against the capitalization rate, which then allows for a new valuation. So simple terms, if you were able to improve your income by simply $30,000 and this property has 10 tenancies, this dramatically improves your valuation because it's easy to improve one tenancy at a time. Commercial assets are definitely the way to go. The only downside is your down payments are higher, so you usually have to contribute 35% towards your bank as the down payment to obtain that commercial loan. However, the upside is that you can help every tenancy, the growth is a lot quicker, and if you've got your thinking cap on, also your longevity in that commercial asset is greater because the cash flow is higher. Now, what we'll talk about next is rental income and how to actually increase them. And then more importantly, how do you use your $1 million in 24 months to build your property portfolio? Let's talk about rental income and how the relationship between rental income in a commercial asset increases the valuation to millions of dollars that everyone doesn't even know about. And my thing is, how are all these big billionaires that have these great assets, office buildings, industrial bases, multiple tenancies, blocks of units, continue to scale? Guys, this is the secret. Now, this actual building here has 10 tenancies, a full underground basement, a full rooftop courtyard in the middle of the city. And what we were able to do is approach every tenant and say, hey, what can be improved about your tenancy? What can be improved about your business? And what would make you stay here longer? And what we actually did was we improved all the tenancy profiles. It was actually very easy, where we gave them what they wanted, we improved their environment, we made a more personal connection with them, and we said, how can we actually allow you to stay here longer? And the key things we did was we improved access, we improved the way people saw their business from a commercial standpoint, we improved the relationship directly with them to say, hey, what can I do for you to give you certainty that, number one, your business will be looked after, number two, your rents will stay consistent, and number three, to ensure that nothing will happen to your business and we won't make any changes. And the last one was the most important. To increase their rental income and increase something called their WALE, we said, hey, if we give you 3 years right now, we can offer you certainty on your rents, because if you leave in a year or two, the market might change and you might be paying a lot higher price. So what this allowed us to do was substantially, slowly, readily increase over a 24-month period everyone's rents. We were honest to them and we compared it to the standard market rents and had those tough conversations, and everyone was agreeable to increase their rents. And then what we did was we requested a valuation. Now the key here is this: if you've got underground understand parking like a basement. If you've got multiple tenancies, and if you compare them to the market and say, hey, these are the downsides if you move out, this allows sustainability with your tenants. And if your WALE is increasing, when you go for a valuation, the bank looks at this like any other investor would and say, look, it's a really stable asset, it's producing me more income, there's been long-term tenants, and they all have a personal relationship. And that's exactly the way we did it, by increasing the rentals across the board. The real reason why we're here is because a lot of people can increase wealth, and a lot of these business owners, or even people that you know, will have equity sitting in their properties where they've increased substantial wealth, but they don't even know how to use it. And the key is this: understanding how to use it is as simple as executing. You can have a gun with a bullet, but if you don't know how to shoot, what's the point of even having the gun when you can't actually execute? With property, what we've been able to substantially increase is the ability to utilize that equity. And the only key factor that your financier or anyone will look at when using equity is simple. If you've got an asset like this, they're going to look at the cash flow of the asset. If your serviceability increases with the asset, this means that you'll be able to borrow more debt based on the valuation increase. Now, let's talk at this specific example. So we have a property here with 10 tenancies. The valuation increased by $1 million in 24 months. When you talk to any financier, you'd say, hey, I now have $1 million in equity. How do I use this? They will say, well, show me your serviceability. And because your rental income has increased substantially from this property, this allows your serviceability to be utilized to then use that $1 million for the next property. Now, the key is this: any equity is straight equity. For you to have $1 million, the bank will give you usually 65% of that to utilize. So they'll give you, in this case, $650,000 to be able to go and use on a down payment for another property, which will allow you to borrow roughly $3 million again. That won't cost you a cent. The biggest one here, and how all these successful billionaires and property real estate gurus are able to scale their portfolio, is that $650,000 is not taxed. It's a loan. For you to actually have $650,000 tangible in your hand, you actually have to probably make in real life $1.2 million, and after tax, you'll be left with your $650,000, which you can then utilize. So the key is this on how to execute. Increase your income, so your serviceability is increased. Increase your income, so your valuation increases. Increase your income, so you can then display to the bank based on your serviceability increase on how you can then utilize that equity to borrow more for another cash flow asset, and then that $650,000 from the original million becomes your down payment to the next one. Guys, you can simply execute by buying more property such as this with minimal down payment from your own pocket, and you utilize that equity to create more cash flow, more serviceability, more equity, and create more wealth for you. Good luck, and I hope you guys understood the key points of this video. More importantly, if you can think of any deals that you can see right now that's similar to offices, multiple tenancies, just throw offers at them, or even ask us any questions, send us a DM. More importantly, subscribe and like this video, show your support, because I'm only doing this to give you as much value as possible so you can implement this in your own life, and hopefully we can invest together one day soon.